if we have to take a metric, if we call it as a success factor, if all of us want to be proud of what Middle East and UAE is achieving in additive manufacturing, what you would like to see? For example, if I can start with Pedro, so probably one way to say is like, he would like to see, I would like to have 1,000 parts digitalized, some kind of, these kind of metrics. I think so we need to collect them, and we are not going to talk about the implementation, but at least our ambition and some advice and how we can learn from the rest of the world. Okay, start from you. So can you please?
Very good afternoon. Very good afternoon all. Thank you so much for organization, for the invitation to invite ADNOC to be part of this panel. Congratulations all, fantastic presentations during the morning. To ADNOC, additive manufacturing today is in the top of the priority as a technology. During the past, we try a few attempts and pilots in the last 5 years. Was a big barrier that was certification, quality, availability in the region. We are accelerating the deployment of additive manufacturing as much as we can, and technology allowed at this moment. But one of the key challenges for us still, one is certification of parts. Due to the criticality of the facilities, we need to ensure that any part that is installed fulfill all the integrity requirements for our installation. And after that will be for sure, and was mentioned here before today, is the made it in the UAE, in the Emirates. That is very important to us. That can be made in the region, can be made in the region. Print by demand is a big advantage for us. Reducing our inventory is a key success factor. And out of that part, the last presentation was very interesting because we need to stretch also the design of our parts. We have some integrity challenges, some process challenges that were not possible to solve or to further optimize in the past, that we believe that now with additive manufacturing, that operation can be stretched, integrity of parts can be stretched, and new solutions can be solved and can be found through additive manufacturing.
Thank you so much. I think so the biggest keyword I see here is the reducing inventory. So how do we measure that? And of course, everything should start from a humble start, but I think so we will come back to how your target would be. Is it, again, as I said, 500 parts, 1,000 parts, whatever? It could be in few years. And when we think those numbers, we suddenly start getting worried about all the rest of the pieces of the puzzle, how they will be in place. So maybe if you can tell just some number.
Yes, I will add just some points there. It means that the target will be limited by how the technology can respond, how the market can respond, and how the economic factor will play. Of course, that we will need all our partners to work on that direction, that go from obsolete parts, parts that have been discussed already here today, that probably we need to have it because there's no more vendor in the market and we have difficulty to find them, for the business critical, and after we need to sit with all our partners to see how we can print them by demand here in the region. That the challenge is very big, the number can be very big also, is all depending on how the market can, the industry can respond, and how the technology can be attractive from the economic point of view.
Thank you so much. So let's move to Professor Rashid. Yes, it was a great presentation. And I think so you have covered a lot that what we wanted to discuss now. But I think so, yes. I see some important points like skill gap. So that is one of the keywords I picked up from you. So what you would say that ambition should be? For example, if I bring the case from Singapore, 5 to 7 years ago, we thought, okay, we have to target two groups like students and the working professionals, skilling up them, and like thousands of people should at least attend some skill gap course within an year or something. There is some kind of a target actually that will steer the market. So what you would say about skill gap and how to fill that?
Thank you very much. I think this is an excellent question because we are really missing it. I mean, here in UAE, I mean, there is a skill gap. And I mean, at Khalifa University, we're trying to, as much as possible, I mean, to bridge that gap by educating young engineers at the undergraduate level, also at the graduate level. And we're trying our best also to have really these type of workshops that we invite professionals and engineers from companies to come and attend. And really, you need to have the passion for it. And we can see that a lot of engineers that come to these workshops, they are really eager to learn about additive manufacturing. But it's not just a matter of really a session or two sessions that you sit and you think that by learning how the printer works is sufficient, I mean, to be really skillful in additive manufacturing. You need to get your hands dirty. And these workshops that we are organizing at Khalifa University, that's what we're aiming for. I mean, we have the engineers really learn how to design, how to use their tools, design tools, whether they are commercially or we developed at Khalifa University, and take a case study, print the component, assess its performance. In that way, the engineer will be able to see what are the challenges, what are the limitations of additive manufacturing. Unfortunately, as I said, most of the companies, they come to us and talk about they want to 3D print a component. I mean, their knowledge is really very minimal about additive manufacturing. I mean, you'll be shocked, really, with the parts that sometimes we receive, that some of these components easily can be manufactured using injection molding or casting or pressure stamping and these type of traditional methods, and you can scale it easily. And I think this is where an opportunity for the companies that they are really basically involved in selling machines or selling materials for additive manufacturing is to organize these workshops because they have the skill set. They can transfer that skill set to the engineers that are working on different companies. So the aim for us is really to have those engineers with different backgrounds in mechanical, aerospace, nuclear engineering at Khalifa University and other universities to give them kind of that skill set, which typically takes about a couple of months, especially when it comes to the design. Most of our students, they learn a design tool at the beginning, but they don't learn it and apply it for additive manufacturing. So that's a different mindset, which is really needed to be developed. I would say also the companies, I mean, like Adnuk, Tawazun, and these really companies that they are really kind of should be really the driving forces in UAE in order to boost the employment of additive manufacturing. Without them, I mean, we'll be really working with very small scale.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate your answer. So you are talking about, there should be an ecosystem when you produce more engineers. Of course, somebody should absorb them, and when they absorb, they have to give some work to them. And this is a complete human talent ecosystem should be in place. Thank you for that. So coming to Marcus, it's a fantastic presentation, and I think so the keyword from your presentation is about sustainability. Maybe sustainability and sustainable, these are closely words, but they are quite different. Let us take from the sustainable manufacturing, what you talked about also, because this manufacturing to sustain, you need end-to-end players. Everybody is doing their things, and there should be a demand creation, and then the consumption should be going on. So what you would say that what kind of target should be set by these local governments and local ecosystem?
Well, it's a very good question. Thanks for that. And you know, I'm now acting in mainly in UAE since around 8 years. So I learned a lot from this country, a lot from the culture. So it's an amazing country and amazing people. But you know, I felt in the beginning when we started, you know, to apply selling printers to UAE. Well, you can try it and you can do it, but this is not, you know, it's a no-go. Because there is no market, you know, you have to really try to help the customers, the country, to create demand, you know, that you have parts which you can produce. Of course, ADNOC is now in a position, well, you have, of course, the market and you have a potential for additive manufacturing, but there are many companies, or also these supply chains which you have in Europe, are not existing. Yeah? And to fill up only one machine, which is in Europe relatively easy, is not that easy yet here. Yeah? And I think, therefore, what we learned the last years is we need to think about how can we start educating, what also Dr. Rakesh has said. So this is super important, you know, that you have the people to understand what kind of products we have to design. That's one part. Then also need to think what kind of applications, what kind of markets we can, let's say, short-term and long-term apply. Yeah? I mean, of course, if I would start right away with medical, and they have all the regulations, this is not short-term. So this we have to start, but it takes a bit longer time. If you start now, let's say, with gas and oil, there we have also, as our company, a lot of experience with our customers we have. Of course, there it's easier for us, at least, to help companies, which kind of applications, which kind of requirements they have, to help them also to become successful. Also what you said, certification. Therefore, we have established 10 years ago our Additive Minds consulting team that they can help what kind of parts is ideally to produce, how can you design it, how can you optimize for the application, how you can ramp up the production. So all this kind of is really important. How can you certify it in your operator? And this was the learning, you know, that well, the business approach here in Middle East is very different than in Europe. Yeah? And I think now, if you take now sustainability, which I find really amazing, how the countries and the next 50 years vision of UAE is behind this sustainability approach, you know, then it came back to what I said before, these thermal management applications, because you have so much energy around. Of course, you have not the gas and oil side, but we have the new energy abilities with solar farms, with air conditioning. You know, there are many of them where we can create an impact. So that means on the one hand side, I would like to work together with the team here on the education side, which is very important to educate the people, to get the understanding. Then also on the gas and oil side with existing companies like ADNOC, with a lot of know-how, but at the same time in parallel work with the new energy applications and say, okay, how can we together with the country, with the government, pick up, let's say, only 1 or 2 or 3 applications which we create and make big, you know, because it's not now, I need to identify a kind of part which is ideal for 3D printing, but then I have the part, so where do you sell it for, you know? I have now, let's say I take this air chiller, what I have shown before, so now it's here on the table, but who is using it? Who is producing it, you know? So these are topics we have to think about, how can we overcome these hurdles, and this is actually at the moment what I discuss with institutions, with universities, with governments, and also with companies like ADNOC, which would be ideal now to approach together. And including the sustainable materials, etc., of course, but just at the point, new thermal management applications, I think this is a good start.
Thank you so much. I think so you have touched on a very, very important point. I was talking to somebody this morning in the lobby somewhere. So the same topic, everybody is talking about the demand generation, because or at least even demand forecast. So are we sharing as a region here that all the end users first of all, do they have their demand forecast? And second thing is, are they sharing it? So that how can we you don't need to reveal the details of the parts, but at least so which technologies we should prioritize. So these kind of things leads us to take to Dr. Nazma. So again, excellent presentation about the marvelous work you are doing. So I think so, when I'm working with some of the Middle East manufacturers, for example, a powder recycling or whatever comes, I always advise, go to TI, talk to them, you have somebody who can help you. So despite this, but what do you think, what do you observe, what is the gap existing between why people are freely not using the expertise you are developing, and how can we bridge this gap?
Okay, so thank you, very good question. It's the problem, the gap that we have here in the UAE is that we don't have the powder producers in the first place, either for additive or for non-additive processes. So we are developing these new materials, but to commercialize them or industrialize them, we don't have that partner here, because most of the powder that we get for metal additive manufacturing comes from abroad, either from Europe, from the US, China, what have you, but we don't have an atomization plant nearby. Not in the UAE, and I don't think even if you open the circle a bit, you won't be able to find any. So that's a huge challenge that we have here, and we need to really speak to the material producers in the UAE. So Emirates Global Aluminium and Emirates Steel Arcan. So they're producing materials, but they're not really for additive, and probably that's because the demand for additive for manufacture itself is still low, so they don't see the business case for why are we going to produce powder for a process that's not yet widely industrially adopted in the UAE. So it's the whole ecosystem that needs to come together so that if you have the end user that will take the printed part, you'll find more service bureaus, and then you'll find more people willing to invest in producing powders, and that's where it will be relevant to commercialize these new alloys here. Otherwise, you're going to have to license it to someone abroad instead of someone in the UAE, which really goes against the Make It in the Emirates concept and the initiatives that the country is really pushing for. So the answer is just we all have to work hand in hand to push this all together, instead of just doing scattered random efforts here and there.
So thank you. That was also connecting what Marcus said. This region needs a short-term and a long-term plan in terms of infrastructure, how to attract manufacturers to come and set up like powder making here. Because they also need to see a local demand as well as how they can use this Middle East in the wonderful place for a good logistics hub for the world, how they can utilize their extra capacity to serve the world. So we'll come back to that point. Thank you so much. At least you are giving now a very good confidence for the people that this technology is amazing and you can help them. Let's go to Stefan. So it was a wonderful presentation about maritime applications. So you were talking about certification plans. What are your, can you please share your thoughts that about certification and how if it is utilized by more and more people, this technology, what you are developing, and what are the hurdles from certification point of view you see? Do you feel comfortable already, or you still see a gap?
Actually, we are in the beginning, and this is exactly right what the professor said, and then also Dr. Asma. The certification is a huge challenge for us, because if we are producing a boat, it needs to be certified if it goes in public transport. So, and of course, TASNEF, in our case, they require some data. So how long will it be, the material last? We cannot tell you this boat runs for 10 years or 20 years or even maybe only 10 days. We have no idea about this, and this is where we started our cooperation already, and I'm really happy about that, because we are not scientists, we are from the industry. We are building this. And we need also specialized material in our case because of the environment. So this maybe needs to be developed. And so there are a lot of let's say, challenges, what we are facing. And certification comes in place for automotive industry, for railway industry, for fire protection and whatever. So there's a bunch of certification required.
Yeah. So thank you for reflecting on that. But that also leads, one is to have standards, second is the people that can actually certify things, and also the test laboratories and those inspection companies that can, yeah, so this is all a big gap. I think so we have to add that into the roadmap. Thank you so much. So we have 10 more minutes. I would like to now reflect on a topic because I was talking to the guy Aditya who is organizing this conference. You know, what happens if this conference is coming next year or after 8 months or 10 months? So what are we doing? Are we going back to our nest and working at our own, or how can we actually bring a forum or a think tank? Can we establish a think tank, a forum that assemble every, have a talk every 2 months and try to gather, at least act as a channel that can help governments to understand or even bring more people. For example, in Norway, where I'm based now, so we are organizing something called AM Energy Group. We have 400 and 500 people almost from 200-300 companies. We are regularly with most of the oil majors are there. We are doing some lunch and learns, but we are also publishing some white papers that can be picked by the governments, and even we are trying to talk to lobby at the European Union level, where, for example, sustainability that we did not talk, that is about, there are certain targets. But they need input to make their policies. So I think so it's a very high time now to think about. Today we don't need to solve, but at least to agree that somebody take the lead here and establish a small group and give recommendations and involve all the people and give mandate to this kind of conferences that what they should address. So I will go to each of you. Please share your thoughts very briefly, 1 to 2 minutes. And I think so this will be implemented soon, and we will try to coordinate some extent. Please.
Thank you. That is a wonderful idea. Indeed, it's something that we have discussed already inside ADNOC, and ADNOC will be happy to support that type of initiative. Going back to the beginning of your statement, that is where we will be in 1 year, and to also to share a little bit what we expect from the industry and what the industry can expect from us. We are working very hard at this moment in ADNOC to understand our demand, to understand how much our inventory, not only the inventory, but how much additive manufacturing can impact ADNOC and our processes. And I believe that in 1 year time, if we are here all sit in 1 year time, will be a completely different reality about what ADNOC is expecting from additive manufacturing and how much the industry can expect from ADNOC as a demand.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Can we have your role?
Yeah, I think this is a very good idea. I mean, to have a consortium, I would say, between different companies. There are not many companies, I mean, that I would say will have, I would say, good impact on employment of additive manufacturing. So typically, you can form such a consortium and get those people to talk, learn from their expertise to move forward into employment of additive manufacturing. It's not going to be easy, to be honest. We have tried it before. Each company wants to do their own stuff and they don't want really to share their know-hows with others. But I think there is a need for something like this. So you don't have to disclose, I mean, confidential, let's say, information, but just guidelines and your expertise. So having, like, let's say, a workshop where you showcases examples of how you're utilizing additive manufacturing in their industry, I think that will open the eye for many businesses and companies about how you can successfully use additive manufacturing in transforming certain aspects of your business. So this is really definitely, it's an excellent idea. And I mean, these forums, they are good. I mean, educating the public about really additive manufacturing. But as you say, this is not sufficient at all. I mean, otherwise we will go back and each one do his own stuff, and that's the end of it. We need really to change.
Yeah. Thank you so much. But we will try to organize some kind of a offline talk, how to initiate this. The modalities can be discussed. Yeah. Thank you so much. Please.
I mean, I fully agree what you both said, and maybe we can make a kind of combination. On the one hand side, to share experience, to share solutions, what we have developed with other markets, with other customers. Is there something we can use for UAE in this case? And maybe go one step further and say, okay, can we sit in 1 year here and we have identified a part for ADNOC, which could be 3D printed, which hits the cost per part criteria, which hits the material expectation, which means that the operators are certified. Maybe that could be maybe a story. We make first a round, discuss the abilities. With your feedback, maybe we can work on this and have one part ready for ADNOC in 1 year.
I believe that this will take the challenge. And adding one point, if we can produce the powder here in UAE also, and use our example as a circular economy for additive manufacturing, that could be very interesting as a challenge.
Okay, good. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So over to you.
So there's not much to add to what they've said. It's definitely a brilliant idea, and I think it really is going to help push forward the ecosystem in AM and the adoption. It will make the adoption faster. From our side, in the Advanced Materials Research Center at TII, we have the facilities to start from powder making to printing to testing and characterization, everything under one roof. We're trying to cover as much as possible from the value chain, but of course we're not doing everything. So we need to partner up with the other skills in the UAE so that we can then build that full scenario so that we can convince the industry that now it's ready to take it. But definitely we'd be on board with something like that.
Thank you so much. What we have not talked so far is how can we increase this cooperation from UAE to GCC, because we are also working with all these countries, and we see how today we see PDO from Oman is here. So yeah, yesterday I met day before yesterday Saudi Aramco. So we are all working with so many, but I think so there is an important aspect about GCC collaboration at a different level. But we have to start here and then start interacting with all of those, and then creating, because all of these countries have similar vision. So we have to start, we will come back. Yeah, so you have some thoughts about how can we, what to establish and how can we use this networking, make it offline also. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, of course, I like the idea, but when we had our discussion already in the first of our project, which is a small project compared to all the opportunities, we figured out it needs to be grouped, either by material or by application or whatever, because it's so complex. If you start with a small thing and you see, oh, I need this one, I need that, and so I would really recommend to group it either in metal and thermoplastics or whatever, or by application and so on, because it's simply too complex.
Thank you so much. Not much time left, but we would like to take 1 or 2 questions to the panelists. Either you can give a comment or a question. Is anybody from this side? Please share your thoughts. Yeah, okay, please. Martin.
Thank you. Yeah, my name is Martine Muller and I'm from Petroleum Development Oman, and here with my colleague. And we are the consumers of these parts that can be produced with 3D printing or additive manufacturing. And we're really excited if the business grows and if the ecosystem grows within the region, because that's where we want to be. We will have short lead times, produced within the region, keep the value within the region, and then reduce our inventory. So we're very excited about these forum like AM Conclave to see the business grow with here. But we're also challenging, and especially as was mentioned before, the assurance and how do we certify these parts, because we have very dangerous processes and it's safety first always. So that's really, I think, if we have a platform where we can discuss like how can we overcome what developments are there, because the oil and gas industry has certain specific challenges that are very different from aerospace. So how can we overcome that? And there's a lot of R&D needed, and especially in this assurance area. So I think the companies have to work together to grow the opportunities, rather than one company cannot do it, because that's not our core. We produce oil and gas and energy. We don't develop assurances for additive manufacturing. So thank you very much. I'm very happy with the panel discussion and being here. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Martin. Yes. Yeah. So wonderful. Yeah. Welcome from them. They're already doing a lot of work. So as everybody is doing on their silos, so it's important that now everybody is realizing that, you know, I need to share my ideas and my problems, and you know, and also success stories. So it's very good.